Okay, this is the 2022 preview. iMac M1. Take one. Camera one. Camera two. Action!
I got it. Hey Apple fans, Apple Sheep, and anyone else out there watching. Richard here with another episode of iTalk. And in this one, we continue our 2022 preview series. In this one, we're talking about the new iMac and Mac Pro, the next iteration of Apple Silicon, and potentially new monitors. And it's all coming up right after the intro. Okay, we're back. Richard here, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, and hit the bell so you don't miss an iTalk video. Okay, shameless self-promotion finished. Let's get right into it. iMac and Mac Pro. Continuing and likely completing the transition from Intel to Apple Silicon in 2022 are the iMac and the Mac Pro. First, the larger iMac. Last year, we saw the smaller 24-inch iMac get a huge design update with a similar look to the iPad Pro. It also got M1 and multiple colors that look fantastic. This year, the larger iMac is rumored to get a design update similar to its little brother and is also rumored to be available in a rainbow of colors as well. Disappointingly, though, it appears that the early rumors of a 32-inch model may be just that, rumor. It appears that the larger iMac will be the same size, a 27-inch model, which really is too bad because since the smaller iMac went from 21.5 to 24-inch, it would have made sense to upgrade the larger iMac as well. So maybe there's going to be both, a 27 and a 32-inch option. While it looks unlikely at this point, one can still hope, or maybe even more than hope. If you really think about it, there are two, actually three sizes for the MacBook Pro, the 13, 14, and 16-inch models, though I think ascribing the Pro branding to the 13-inch model is a bit of a stretch. So I'm going to say there are really two sizes for the MacBook Pro. So it makes perfect sense that Apple would have the 24-inch consumer iMac and two size options for the larger Pro model iMac. So what will it be called? While many, including yours truly, predicted last year would be the end of the iMac Pro name, it looks like that may not quite be true. It looks like and makes perfect sense again that given the MacBook Pro lineup, the iMac Pro moniker will not only be retained, but all the larger iMacs will get Pro branding. So Apple would have the smaller iMac in a 24-inch consumer M1 model and the iMac Pro in 27-inch and hopefully a 32-inch option with highly configurable Apple Silicon, keeping in line with the 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pro models. And speaking of Apple Silicon, at WWDC, Tim Cook talked about a 2-year timeline for the transition from Intel to Apple Silicon when he said this.
So what's the timeline for this transition? For the customers, we expect the transition to take about 2 years.
So what will that look like for the completely redesigned iMac Pro? Well, the new iMac will likely ditch the M1 Pro and start with the M1 Max and be configurable to what many are calling the M1 Max Duo, which would be a dual die-cast chip. So, like the MacBook Pro configurations, it makes perfect sense that the M1 Max on the iMac Pro would start with a 10-core CPU, 24-core GPU, 32 gigs of unified memory, and a 16-core neural engine, and would be configurable to M1 Max Duo, which would have a 20-core CPU, 16 P cores, and 4 E cores, up to a 64-gig GPU, up to 128 gigs of unified memory, and a 32-core neural engine with up to 1,024 gigabit LPDDR5 memory bandwidth on the Duo. And 96 megabytes of system-level cache, and with that, over 100 billion transistors. And finally, somewhere in the neighborhood of around 800 gigabit per second memory bandwidth, all on a dual 5-nanometer process. Okay, and now as for the Mac Pro, wow, the numbers just simply get mind-numbingly damn near impossible to wrap your head around, as if M1, M1 Pro, and M1 Max weren't already. but multiple sources around the leak pools and rumor mills are talking about an M1 Max quad chiplet, possibly to be named Quadra, sort of reminiscent of Apple's old flagship line, the Apple Quadra, way back in the early 90s. So what does this chiplet look like? This would again be a 4-chip set of M1 Max processors cast on a single chiplet. It would have 40, yes, 40 CPU cores, 32 P cores and 8 E cores, up to 128 GPU cores, 256 gigabytes of unified memory, and that's if each UM chip is 16 gigabytes. Imagine if each UM chip is 32 or 64 gigs. That would be 512 gigabytes all the way up to over a terabyte of unified memory. And what if there was an option to add chiplets, say 2, 3, or even 4 quad chiplets for a possible 160 CPU cores, 512 GPU cores? Well, you get the idea. This is an absolute monster. And what if there were 3D chips? It's just staggering to think about the limitless possibilities given the incredible scalability of Apple Silicon architecture. There are also rumors that Apple is working on 3 and 4 nanometer processes, further increasing speed and improving power consumption. Okay, monitors. AppleTrack reported back on December 20th that Apple is working on 3 new external displays, a 24-inch, 27-inch, and 32-inch model. The 27 and 32-inch versions have 120 Hz refresh rates, while the 24-inch model is similar to the current M1 iMac screen. Apple is also currently working on a version of the Pro Display XDR for around $2,500, still out of reach for most, but half the cost of the current one at $5,000 or $6,000 if you get the nano-textured glass option, and that's not even including the $1,000 stand. No other details are available yet on these monitors. Well, that's it for this one. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, and smash that bell so you don't miss an iTalk video. I'm Richard. This is iTalk. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next one, we'll catch you on the flip side. We are out.